Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Lola Rosa, and I'm here to continue with the data analysis track in SQL. Our topic for today is the continuation of importing data in Python. So last time we've discussed about importing data from text files or plat files. Plat files are text files and CSV files, or comma uh, uh, I forgot the abbreviation of CSV. I'm getting forgetful. Okay, it's comma separated, comma separated value of CSV. Okay, plat files such as text files and comma separated and CSV files. Then after that, we've discussed about importing data from other file types such as spreadsheets or Excel spreadsheets, SAS and data files, and HDF5 files. Then now we're going to take working with relational databases in Python. So in this chapter, we'll learn how to extract meaningful data from relational databases, an essential skill for any data scientist. We will learn about relational models, how to create SQL queries, how to filter and order our SQL records, and how to perform advanced queries by joining database tables. So to continue, let's again watch our instructor, Hugo. Okay.
You've already mastered the art of importing all types of single files in Python. Congratulations! However, to earn your daily bread and butter as a data scientist, you'll be required to interact with more complex data structures, such as relational databases. Now, what is a relational database? It's a type of database that is based upon the relational model of data, first described by Ted Codd in the late 1960s. Before getting too theoretical, however, let's check out an illuminating example, the Northwind Traders database, a synthetic database that contains sales data for a fictitious company. Firstly, a database consists of tables. Here you can see 3 tables from the Northwind database: orders, customers, and employees. So what's a table? A table generally represents one entity type, such as order. Notice that this table looks a great deal like a data frame, and that's the point. In a relational database table, each row or record represents an instance of the entity type. In this case, each row is an order. Each column represents an attribute of each instance, such as the order date in the case of orders. In this sense, a table is entirely analogous to a data frame. It is essential that each row contain a unique identifier, known as a primary key, that we can use to explicitly access the row in question. In our orders table, you can see that the key is order ID, the first column. But recall that a database consists of many tables. The really cool thing about relational databases is not merely that you have a bunch of tables, but that the tables are linked. Now, how this linking works is ultra intuitive. See that the orders table has both a column called customer ID and one called employee ID. These columns correspond precisely to the primary keys in the customers and employees tables, respectively. So, given an order, you can immediately look up the details of the relevant customer or employee This is super cool because it means that you don't need to store all the customer details such as first name, last name, company with every order that they place. You merely need to look it up in the customers table. This saves an incredible amount of space. As stated earlier, the relational model was originally proposed by Ted Codd and has been widely adopted. There's a great deal to the theory, but it's most neatly summarized in Codd's 12 rules, also known as Codd's 12 commandments, which he developed in the early 1980s to combat what he viewed as a dilution of his original relational database vision. Codd's 12 rules actually consist of 13 rules.
So there is commandments called 12 rules, which consist of 13 rules because it is zero indexed. Because with zero indexing, we start with zero, the index, the indice. Okay, the indexes. Okay, whatever. It starts with zero, so 0 to 12, so it's 13 rules.
But they're zero index. That is, the first rule is labeled 0. If this makes you laugh, you're definitely a geek like me. These 13 rules were defined to describe what a relational database management system should adhere to in order to be considered relational. Among the most popular of such systems currently are PostgreSQL, commonly called Postgres, MySQL, and SQLite.
My mouse is acting up. Wait, yan.
All of which use the SQL query language. In fact, SQL itself is actually an acronym for Structured Query Language, which describes how you communicate with a database in order to both access and update the information it contains. The term querying is really just a fancy way of saying getting data out from the database. Next up, you'll learn how to connect to databases, but before that, let's make sure that you have a solid conceptual grip on the relational model.
Okay, I think I've answered this yesterday. Okay, so the relational model, which is the following, is not part of the relational database. So says here that each row or record in a table represents an instance of an entity of an entity type. It's not part of a relational model. Each column in a table represents an attribute or feature of an instance. I think it seems there are relations between tables. The database consists of at least a database consists of at least 3 tables. I don't think every table contains a primary key column which has a unique entry for each row. Each column in a table represents an attribute of or feature of an instance. Okay. So
Alright, we're back. What we really want to do is to get our data out of our database using SQL, or the structured query language. But before we get to that, we're going to need to figure out how to connect to a database. We'll use a SQLite database as an example because SQLite is fast and simple while still containing enough functionality to introduce you to all the necessary concepts of querying a database. There are times when you would prefer to use Postgres or MySQL, but for our purposes here, an introduction to interacting with relational databases in Python, a SQLite database is perfect. We'll once again look at the Northwind database. There are many packages we could use to access a SQLite database, such as SQLite 3 and SQL Alchemy. We'll use SQL Alchemy as it works with many other relational database management systems, such as Postgres and MySQL. So without further ado, to connect to northwind.sqlite, we need to import the relevant function createEngine from the package SQL Alchemy. We then use the function createEngine to fire up a SQL engine that will communicate our queries to the database. The only required argument of createEngine is a string that indicates the type of database you're connecting to and the name of the database. Next, in order to query the database, we need to connect to the engine to do so. But before we do this, we would like to know the names of the tables the database contains. To do so, apply the method tableNames to the object engine. This will return a list of the table names that you can then print to the console. Now it's your database contains. Next, in order to query a database, the only function create items, such as Postgres and MySQL. So without further ado, to connect to northwind.sqlite, we need to import the relevant function createEngine from the package SQL Alchemy. We then use the function createEngine to fire up a SQL engine that will communicate our queries to the database. The only required argument of createEngine is a string that indicates the type of database you're connecting to and the name of the database. Next, in order to query the database, we need to connect to the engine to do so. But before we do this, we would like to know the names of the tables the database contains. To do so, apply the method tableNames to the object engine. This will return a list of the tables.
Very fast. Okay.
Table names that you can then print to the console. Now it's your turn to do the same.
Hello, Jenny.
Fire up that database engine and print out those table names. After this, I'll be back to show you how to connect to the engine, how to query your databases, and then you'll get loads of practice writing your own queries to import data from relational databases.
you, thank you. Thank you so much for following, and thank you for poking, and thank you for visiting work. Kamusta dito? What do you mean, kamusta? Ah, wala. Wala. Ang tawag dito? Non-contract. Hindi ko pa alam. Ngayon pa lang, actually, nag-stream ako paminsan-minsan pero wala. Wala pa akong, nag-stream lang ako for, nag-aaral ako. Basically, para mag-create ng opportunity. Hindi pa. Actually, bago pa lang. Hindi. Siyempre, kung kikita, pero hindi ako regular nag-stream eh. Bago pa lang ako nag-stream na regular. Kahapon lang. Before, minsan-minsan lang, panood-nood lang, ganun. Pero, anong tawag dito? Wala akong agency, nakadirekta ako. Hindi ako non-contract. Non-contract. Chinek ko pwede naman eh. Yun nga lang, hindi ko alam yung difference kapag, syempre pag with agency ka, ikaw may agency ka. Pag wala bang agency, hindi kasi parang pag nag-submit ka naman, nakalagay naman dun sa pag chinek mo sa desktop, hindi ko sure sa phone, sa mobile app, kung, oo, parang yan din yung naririnig ko. Kaya hindi ako kasi, hindi ko sure kung kaya kong pangatawanan dahil meron akong Monday to Saturday na 9 to 6 job. So, parang required yata 2 hours a day. Yun yung naririnig ko. And then, nag-submit ako dito sa desktop, dun sa 17 live, sa desktop. Pwede naman, nakalagay pwede naman siya na pwede kang magkaroon ng revenue. Dalawang klase, yung isa with contract, yung isa non-contract. Para magsasubmit ka rin sa kanila ng valid ID. Diba, passport, ganun. Para i-verify lang yung identification mo, and then maglalagay ka rin ng bank account para para siguro para ma-withdraw mo. Hindi ko nga alam kasi wala akong contract. Pero yung sa kanila yata, parang ang inrinig ko parang ang dinig ko 2 hours a day ata ang required sa kanila. At least 2 hours, ganun. Oo, sa OBS. Doon sa, actually, hindi ko alam kung pwedeng sabihin, i-minimulti ko siya. Minumulti stream ko. Bali, 2 platform. And then, sa laptop, OBS. Tapos, pero sa desktop or laptop, hindi ka kasi pwedeng mag-poke. Kaya kailangan mo pa rin gumamit ng mobile app. Kasi makakapag-poke ka lang sa mobile app. Yung isa, dun sa letter T. Oo. Actually, ang main ko talaga nito, makakuha ng certification. Kasi kung may idea ka doon sa data analysis, lagi sa Facebook ang daming ads. Tsaka parang ano to sa balita, sabi ng, yun ba yung tinatawag na purple side? Actually, nakikita ko pero hindi ko alam na yun yung sinasabi nilang purple side. Akala ko, up din mismo yung purple. Yun pala yun. Wala, ano daw, ano to, sabi nung isa sa akin, streamer, colorum daw. Colorum daw ako kasi wala akong agency. Hindi. Kasi nga, hindi ko sure kung kaya kong pangatawanan. Isa pa, sabi ko 1 year yung contract, baka mamaya tama rin ako eh. Hindi. Ano lang, kaya ko lang ginagawa to. Firstly, para makakuha ng certification. Then, kasi pag mag-aaral ako, sarili ko lang, tatama rin ako. Eh, pag naka-live ka, at least kahit paano. Kahit, paano nagla-live via desktop? Di, ano nga, oo, yes. Bali, open mo sa browser yung site ng 17 Live and then, tapos, sinasabi ko patapos na nakasa kabila rin ako. Okay, i-open mo sa browser and then, i-click mo yung Go Live. After mo na-click yung Go Live, meron doon, fill upan mo lang yung mga ano, like yung title nung stream mo, then yung hashtags, at least 2, and then kung anong event. Tapos meron doon sa ilalim, create stream, create live streaming yata yun. Dali. I-search mo lang 17.live, hindi .com eh, kasi merong /en-us. Pero siguro pag sinearch mo lang yung 17.live, makikita mo na yun. Hindi naka-indicate na .com. Dali nag-aano yung aking... hello, Yellow. Thank you. Nasa harap ka ba ng desktop or laptop? Pwede kitang i-guide. May OBS ka na? Or dati ka nang gumagamit ng OBS? Naguguluhan. Sige, ganito na lang. Andiyan ka pa ba? Wala pa. O sige, ganito na lang. Try kong gumawa ng ng step-by-step tutorial. Tapos i-post ko na lang yung video sa i-post ko na lang yung video sa feeds ko. Kung paano. Bali, nanood ako ng tutorial sa YouTube. Tapos, meron doon pina-download. Parang may da-download ka na add-on dun sa, di ba, naka-download ka na ng OBS or naka-install na yung OBS. Basically, naka-set siya ng single stream. Meron kang ida-download na parang RPTM yata yun. Basta sige, itatry kong i-document. Itatry kong ma-document siya para Pero sinundan ko lang sa YouTube yun eh. Kung paano mag-multi-stream, may link siya doon kung ano ida-download and then install mo yun. Siyempre, magwa-warning siya na galing sa third party, ganyan-ganyan. Pero yun nga, iti-take mo yung risk. Pag na-install mo, merong window na lalabas na pwede ka mag-add ng target. Actually, pwedeng sabay pati na YouTube Live or sa Facebook. Pwede sabay-sabay. Kaya lang, oo, free naman siya. Kaya lang, tinry ko mag-tatlong stream. Hindi na save tong sa 17 Live kapag sinabay ko yung sa YouTube eh. Nag-try ako dun sa letter T, sa YouTube, at saka dito. Hindi na save yung... Hindi. Kasi yung sinasabi mong restream or yung Streamlabs, may bayad kapag ka nag-multi-stream ka. Ito, sa OBS mismo. Sa OBS, pero magda-download ka ng parang plug-in. Magda-download ka ng parang add-on feature, plug-in, katapos install mo yun. Pagka in-install mo na yun, pag open mo ng OBS, may lalabas na another window. Sige. Ano to? Ganito na lang. Siguro yung link, yung link nung yung mga lalaki yung magagaling dyan eh. Ako sinundan ko lang yung mga tutorial sa YouTube. Ano to? I-try ko kung madodocument ko or isasama ko na lang doon yung link kung saan ko siya na download. Try ko kaya lang. Medyo mabagal akong gumawa. Hindi ako sanay kasi gumawa ng mga ng mga anong tawag dito? Hindi ako sanay gumawa ng mga videos. Ngayon lang ako medyo sa FB. Hindi kahit nasa group chat po ba kayo sa FB? Parang wala. Hindi, wala. Hindi ako masyadong active sa Hindi ako masyadong active sa social media. Kasi nga, may work ako. Tapos 6 days yung work ko, tas 9 to 6. Tinatry ko lang kasi gusto kong maka-apply ng work from home. Kaya nag-update ako ng knowledge ko. And then, parang kasi ang daming opening ngayon ng mga data analyst. So, yun. Para i-open up ko yung sarili ko sa opportunities. Kaya ito, nagtitake ako ng data analyst, anong tawag dito? Career track para Kaya lang, since ginagawa ko na to, ko na rin. Tinry ko na rin para mas masanay ako pagsasalita. Ang sound card ko is V8S. Actually, nag-start ako siguro mga November. Hindi dito sa SL pa before yung parang ang familiar ka sa akin eh. Parang nakikita kita dati doon sa SL. Nung time na yun, wala akong kaalam-alam, as in zero. Tapos nagtanong-tanong ako sa kapatid ko, sabi niya ng ganyan, paano OBS? Kasi nga, di ako marunong. And then, although ang work ko, parang familiar ka nga sa akin, parang nakakita kita before sa SL. Pero lang kasi ako dun, yun nga, baguhan lang mga November last year. Mga isang buwan at kalahati lang yata ako doon. Tapos di ba nagsara siya. And then, panood-nood lang ako rito. Tapos, bali yun nga, sa OBS, sa desktop, doon mo i-start yung, kakapit mo la. Pero familiar ka sa familiar ka naman sa OBS, yung parang katulad before sa SL, yung stream key and yung URL, i-copy mo. So same with parehas lang. Kaya lang, para makapag-multi-stream nga, kailangan mong i-download yung, you have to download yung plugin. And then, ano pa ba? Yun. Pag ni-start mo na yung stream sa OBS, i-start mo rin yung stream mo sa browser. And then, pag chinek mo ngayon sa mobile app, lalabas na naka-live ka. So, sa mobile, yung ibang features, magagawa mo siya sa mobile app lang. Sa mobile lang. Ayun. Sana may, i-try kong i-document para, ano tawag dito? Para mas madaling sundan. Pero, yun nga lang, hindi ko mapangako na agad-agad kasi, mabagal akong mag-create ng video kasi nga, ngayon ko lang siya ginagawa. Before kasi kahit sa trabaho, may tagagawa, hindi ako gumagawa ng mga ganito. Kaya ngayon, talagang inaaral ko isa-isa. Link sa YouTube. Dali. Kung paano na free. Wait.
Might answer other questions that you have. Let's jump in.
Baka kasi bawal. Wait lang Okay, ito yun. So, nasa harap ka ba ng desktop ngayon? Nasa harap ka ba ng or mada-download mo ba siya ngayon? I-search mo lang sa search engine ng YouTube na how to multi-stream on OBS. I-type mo how to then unbox tech. Yan, search mo how to multi-stream on OBS. And then, ang una sa search engine na lalabas, yung account ni Unbox Techie. Yun, pakinggan mo yun or doon sa link niya, pag binaba mo yung ilalim nung, yung sa info nung video niya, meron doon link. link ng free nakalagay, free multi-RTMP OBS plugin. Yun yung i-install mo. Nakalagay github.com Sorayuki OBS multi, ganon. Yun yung sige, sana magawa mo siya. Yun. Pag na-download mo na yun, download then install, ang mangyayari, pag nag-open ka na ng OBS, meron siyang another maliit na window na lalabas na doon mo i-add yung iba mong stream. Sige, sana magawa mo para ano. Yeah. Actually, depende siya sa ano. Kasi ako rin, hirap din ako nung una eh. Kinakapa-kapa ko lang siya talaga. At saka, ano nga pala, pero kung may OBS ka naman na before, siguro, okay na yun. Kasi, ano to, ang medyo mahirap lang sa OBS, siguro at least 8 gig yung RAM mo dapat, yung memory ng ano mo, ng desktop or laptop mo, kasi medyo makain siya sa resources. Sige, thank you. Okay, so to continue, creating a database engine, here we're going to fire up our very first SQL engine, wherein we'll create an engine to connect to the SQLite database. Okay, it's SQLite database. And then, so it should be from SQLite import create engine. Okay. So with the example before, on the video example, Hugo used a SQL Alchemy SQL Alchemy engine and then database engine, and using to connect to the Northwind that SQLite database. So now we're going to connect to SQLite and access the, what's this, Chinook that SQLite database. So previously, Hugo executed the command engine equals create engine SQLite northwind.sqlite. Okay. So SQLite colon triple slash, it's slash. Okay, it's slash backslash is okay. It's slash /northwind.sqlite is called the connection string to the SQLite database, northwind.sqlite. A little bit of background on the Chinook database. The Chinook database contains information about a semi-functional digital media store in which media data is real and customer, employee, and sales data had been manually created. So why the name Chinook, you ask? According to their website, the name of this the name of this sample database was based on the Northwind database. Wait. Let me check my voice. If I'm talking clearly. Okay. So it says here the Chinook are winds in the interior west of North America, where the Canadian prairies and Great Plains. Okay. I think my voice is clear enough. Okay. And Great Plains meet various mountain ranges. Chinooks are most prevalent over southern Alberta in Canada. Chinook is a good name choice for a database that intends to be an alternative to Northwind. So for the instructions, import the function create engine from the module SQL Alchemy. Yes. Okay. Create engine. So wait. From SQL Alchemy import and then from SQL Alchemy import create engine. Then create engine. So create engine engine was so create engine. Now we have to use the wait. Straightforward slash then China. Let me see. SQLite. And assign it to engine. Okay. Then what are the tables in the database? So So in this exercise, we will once again create an engine to connect to Chinook the SQLite. Before we can get any data out of the database, however, we'll need to know what tables it contains. So to this end, we'll save the table names to a list using the method table names on the engine, and then we'll print the list. So for the instructions, import the function engine, create engine from the module SQL Alchemy. Import. So import, once again, we have to import from SQL Alchemy. So from SQL Alchemy, import create engine. Then to create the engine, we have to pass the create engine method on the variable engine. Create engine. The Chinook again. SQLite. And then using the method table names, table underscore names on the engine, assign the table names of Chinook SQLite to the variable table names. So table names was okay. Then assign the table names of SQL of Chinook SQLite to the variable table names. Then print the object table names to the shell. Okay. Nakatapos. Yay! Table names to the shell. Then let's see if our code is right. Then so it displays the here's the script.py where we can write our codes. Then the IPython shell here at the bottom is the output. So we can see from the output that it listed the table names. So I guess my I guess my answer is correct. Let's submit the answer. Okay. Yay, I'm 30%.
Now that you've figured out how to create a database engine and to list the tables of the database in question, it's time to connect to the engine and to query the database. Once again, the term querying is just a fancy way of saying getting data out from the database. The hello world of SQL queries is select star from table name, where table name is the name of any of the tables in the database. This query returns all columns of all rows of the table of interest. For example, I could query the Northwind database with select star from orders, and this would return all columns of all rows of the orders table. The star after select means all columns. Straightforward, right? Well, nearly. This is an SQL query, and we need to figure out how to make such a query using Python, SQL Alchemy, and, in fact, we'll also use pandas to store the results of our queries. The workflow will be as follows. You'll import the required packages and functions, create the engine, connect to it, query the database, save the results of the query to a data frame, and then you'll close the connection. Let's now check out how to do each of these steps.
Wait.
And then you'll close the connection.
Wait.
Let's now check out how to do each of these steps. Create the engine using the function createEngine.
So, create engine. Okay, ano pa na? From import. Okay.
To connect to the database after creating the engine, you create a connection object con by applying the method connect to the engine.
Connection. Okay.
To query the database, apply the method execute to the connection con and pass it a single argument, the relevant SQL query. This creates a SQL Alchemy results object, which we assign to the variable rs. To turn the results object rs into a data frame, we apply the method fetchAll to rs. And save it as a data frame using the pandas function data frame. fetchAll fetches all rows as you would expect. To close the connection, execute con.close. Don't forget to do this. You can then print the head of the data frame, as we have done before, as a sanity check. All the rows look good, but the column names aren't quite correct. To fix this, before closing the connection, you can set the data frame's column names by executing df.columns is equal to rs.keys. One last note. Analogous to what you saw in Chapter 1 when opening plain text files, you can use the context manager construct to open a connection, which will save you the trouble of closing the connection later, or save you the trouble of forgetting to close it. There are two other differences that you may have noticed between this and the previous code. Firstly, I no longer have select star in the SQL query. I now have column names of the table orders. All this does is it imports those particular columns and no others, whereas select star imports all columns. Secondly, instead of applying the method fetchAll to the results rs, I apply the method fetchMany with the argument size equal to 5. This imports 5 rows instead of all rows. You'll become better acquainted with these functions and arguments very soon. Now that's enough out of me. It's time for you to practice writing your own SQL queries and to import data from your database. Enjoy.
Nantok na. Two-thirds pa. One-third pa lang natatapos. Okay. So, the hello world of SQL queries. Hello world. It's always hello world with coding. Okay. Now it's time for lift off. Oh, so in this exercise, we'll perform the hello world of SQL queries. Select. The hello world of SQL queries is the select select word. So in order to retrieve all columns of the tables album in the chain of database, recall that the query select asterisk selects all columns. So for the instructions, open the engine connection as con using the method connect on the engine. Using the method connect on the engine. So engine.connect. Tama. Ba't ganun ayaw? Chronicles engine.connect. Then perform. Wait. Then execute the query that selects all columns from the album table. Store the results in RS or result set. Okay. Equals con execute. Select all columns. So Then save the results of the query to data frame df. Save the results of the query to data frame df. df equals pd dot data frame rs. Result set fetch all. Okay, and then store all your query results in the data frame df by applying the fetch all method to the results rs. Ito na pala yun. Then close the connection. So con.close. So we don't have to wait. I have to cry. Wait. Did you close the connection? So forgot. Actually, I'm not sure if I have to. Okay. Tama na pala. Inalis ko pa. Okay. Pag tingin ako ng tingin, ibig sabihin, inaantok na ako. Tingin ako na tingin kung gaano pa kahaba. Okay. So, customizing the hello world obstacle queries. So, it says here that congratulations on executing your first SQL query. Now that you're going to figure out how to customize your query in order to select specified columns from a table, select a specified number of rows, and import column names from the database table. So recall that Hugo performed a very similar query customization in the video. So engine equals create engine SQLite Northwind that SQLite. Then with engine connect as con actually, you can just copy and paste it the syntax or the sequence of commands. But it's just that for me to better remember to remember the sequence or remember the syntaxes, I prefer to write it down. But copying and pasting it on uh, a notepad or any document file can be useful. It's just that I prefer to I prefer to write it down for me to remember the. Okay, so a package. This here is the query customization. Then packages have already been imported as follows: from SQL Alchemy, import create engine, import pandas as PD. Then the engine has already been created. Engine equals create engine, SQLite, chinook.sqlite. So, the command here. With engine connect as con. Okay. So the engine connection is already open with the statement with engine connect as con. All the code you need to complete is within this context. So for the instructions, execute the SQL query that selects the columns, last name, and title from the employee table. Store the results in the variable rs. So with engine connect as con, rs equals select last name and title. So we have to select last name and title from the table employee. Store the results in the variable rs. Okay, so we're done with that. Then apply the method fetch many to rs in order to retrieve three of the records. Okay. Then store them in the data frame df. Then using the rs object, set the data frame's column names to the corresponding names of the table columns. So filtering our database records using SQLs were we can now execute a basic SQL query to select records from any table in our database, and we can also perform simple query customizations to select particular columns and numbers of rows. So there are a couple of more standard SQL query chaps that will aid us in our journey to becoming a SQL ninja. So let's say that, for example, we wanted to get all records from the customer table of the Chinook database for which the country is Canada. We can do this very easily in SQL using a select statement followed by a where clause as follows. So select asterisk from customer where country equals Canada. So that is to get the to get the all the records from the customer table where the uh, where the customers resides in Canada. Okay, so in fact, you can filter any select statement by any condition using a where clause. This is called filtering our records. So in this interactive exercise, we'll select all records of the employee table for which employee ID is greater than or equal to 6. Packages are already imported as follows. So packages are already imported. So the packages are import pandas as PD, then from Alchemy, import create engine. So for the instructions, complete the argument create engine so that the engine for the SQLite database Chinook that SQLite is created. So SQLite Chinook dot SQLite. Okay. Then execute the query that selects all records from the employee table where employee ID is greater than or equal to 6. So with engine.connect as con rs equals con execute the select statement. Okay, select all records. All records, to select all records, we have to use the asterisk. Select asterisk from asterisk denotes that we're selecting all the columns, all the records from employee. Then where employee ID is greater than 6. Oh, it's greater than or equal to. So it's very, you should always be mindful of what is asked of on the problem. So it says there that we have to get all records or select all records from the employee table where employee ID is greater than or equal to 6. Use the greater than equal operator and assign the results to RS. So data frame Assign the results to RS. Okay. Apply the method fetch all to RS in order to fetch all records in RS. So RS dot fetch all. Okay. And then using the RS object, set the data frames column names to the corresponding names of the table columns. So RS dot keys. Then let's see if our code is correct. And submit the answer. So ordering our SQL records with order by. I'm halfway. I hope I can finish this until just 10 p.m. so I can go to bed earlier. Okay, ordering our SQL records with order by. We can also order our SQL query results. For example, if you wanted to get all records from the customer table of the Chinook database and order them in increasing order by the column support rep ID. So you can do so with the following query. Select asterisk from customer order by support rep ID. So in fact, we can order any select statement by any column. So in this interactive exercise, we'll select all records of the employee table and order them in increasing order by the column birth date. Packages are already imported as follows. So import panda as pandas, import pandas as PD. Then from SQL Alchemy, import create underscore engine. Then for the instructions, using the function create underscore engine, the function create engine, create an engine for the SQLite database, chinook.sqlite, and assign it to the variable engine. Create engine. So engine once again equals create engine. Then SQLite. three slashes. Shiny. That's SQLite. Okay. Then open the engine in context manager. With engine connect ascon rs equals, what's the result? Wait. Let me check if it's the same as before. You don't know the answer, just sing. Okay, using the function create engine, create an engine for the SQLite, Chinook SQLite, and assign to the variable engine. So in the context manager, execute the query that selects all records from the employee table and orders them in increasing order by the column birth date. Assign the result to RS. So execute execute. Then select. We have to select all records. Once again, to select all records, we have to use the select asterisk from the table employee. Then and orders them in increasing order by the column order by birthday. Then assign the result to RS. This is the variable RS. And select asterisk from employee order by birthday. Okay, in increasing order. So it's by default. It is in increasing order. So in a call to PD that data frame, apply the method fetch all. Oh, sorry. PD that data frame fetch all. Okay. Then apply the method fetch all to RS in order to fetch all records in RS. Store them in the data frame DF. So, okay. Then set the data frame's column names to the corresponding names of the table columns. And the F the column scores RS dot keys and print the head of data frame. Try to run the code. What's the problem? There was an error in our code. Your code cannot be executed due to a syntax error. Check the console for more details. So, what's the error? Using the function create engine. Create an engine for the SQLite database, Chinook SQLite, and assign the variable engine. So engine equals create engine SQLite. It's okay. With engine connect ascon rs equals con execute select asterisk from employee order by birthday. Fetch all. Okay. Forgot to place the RS. So this is Christmas. Okay. So it's very important. Uh, so uh, we have to place the fetch all method or attribute of the RS the result set. So
You've seen that. After creating a database engine, you can get the results of any particular query using only 4 lines of code: connecting, executing the query, passing the results to a data frame, and naming the columns. 4 lines of code is pretty good, but you can do even better. You can actually do it in 1 line, utilizing the pandas function read SQL query and passing it 2 arguments. The first argument will be the query you wish to make, the second argument, the engine you want to connect to, and thus you can achieve
okay.
the same as this code by executing this single line. The power of pandas. In the following exercises, you'll gain more expertise in writing SQL queries and using pandas to execute them. What are you waiting for? The end of this video? Let's do it.
Hello. You don't seem like you're truly learning. You seem like you already have a pretty good grasp of this. Actually, I have an idea, but I'm trying to get a certification. So I will tell you, as an industry expert, getting things done in 1 line is usually possible, but not always the best practice. Just good for that. Thank you. Thank you for Thank you for your opinion and for sharing your thoughts. Thank you so much. Okay. So, pandas and the hello world of SQL queries. Actually, I know the logic, but I'm not that much adept with the what do you call this? I'm just using Microsoft SQL. So with other flavors of SQL, I'm not very familiar. But with the syntax, I think different versions of or different flavors of SQL uh, are almost all the same, because I know that there is a standard with the SQL standard of, I think it's 92. So somehow with other when you're using different programming languages, although I'm just used with Visual Basic, but somehow uh, I can ano to, I can have confusions with the syntaxes or the passing arguments, the functions, but we can always research for it. So I think what's important with uh, analyzing not just the data or generally in programming, what's important is uh, we know how to research, to do some research, and we know how to visualize what our output should be. Yes. Yes, I know. Pretty SQL is pretty much the same for all versions. So if you know my MS SQL, then you know enough to say you know pretty much. Yes, thank you. So I think what's important is for yes, as you've said, getting things done in one line is possible, but not always the best practice because uh, I think what's more important is that your codes can be readable as possible for uh, other programmers as well, or it can be understandable, that can be understood because writing codes can be, what do you call that? You should not write your code just uh, on your own, just for your own, what do you call that? You know what I mean. Because when you start doing queries that are more than one line, you wouldn't want a giant SQL statement on a single line. Okay, but I guess what's important is you can understand your query and it's readable by other programmers as well. Okay, so from SQL Alchemy import create engine. So uh, again. Okay, so pandas and the hello world of SQL queries. Here we'll take advantage of the power of pandas to write the results of your SQL query to a data frame in one swift line of Python code. So we'll first import pandas and create the SQLite Chinook, that SQLite engine. Then we'll query the database to select all records from the album table. So recall that to select all records from the orders table in the Northwind database, you go executed the following commands. So the f equals pd read SQL query select asterisk from orders engine. Okay. Okay. So for the instructions, import the pandas package using the alias pd. So you're an industry expert. And thank you for dropping by on my stream. And I hope that the young ones can learn from from what I'm doing. Because getting actually uh, from the newly graduates, it's very difficult to recruit to recruit graduates that really understands the I guess I can say that only 1 out of 10 or 10% of the graduates can really understand this kind of analysis. I'm not sure why they're having a hard time, but whenever I'm giving exams for job applications, they always say that they forgot. But what I've said before, if you understand your lesson, you wouldn't forget that that easily. Don't forget this. So it says here that import the pandas package using the alias PD. Okay, then create engine. Right. Then engine equals create engine SQLite. Then execute query and store records in data frame df. So pd.SQLite. Okay. Use the pandas function. Assign df. Select all records again. Select asterisk from table album. Okay. So use the pandas functions to assign to the variable df in data frame of results from the following queries. Select all records from the table album. So the remainder of the code is included. Confirm that the data frame created by this method is equal to that created by the previous method that we've learned. So I guess this is it. Okay. Okay. You mean computer science degree should scratch the surface of so much. I could see forgetting a language if you did it a single time for a single class, then 4 year 4 years later you claim that you know that language. The true but but claim that you know that language but don't remember any of it. Okay. Uh, so pandas for more complex querying. Here we'll become more familiar with the pandas function with SQL query by using it to execute a more complex query, a select statement followed by both a where clause and an order by clause. So we'll build a data frame that contains the rows of the employee table for which the employee ID is greater than or equal to 6, and we'll order these entries by birth date. So for the instructions, using the function create an engine for the SQLite database, chinook.sqlite, and assign it to the variable engine. Okay, create engine. Getting hungry. Actually, this GUI here does not allow me to copy and paste. That's why I'm coding it. But in real life, this could be much easier if I could just copy and paste and okay. But since I'm learning this, I can can be I can do it. Execute query and store the records in data frame df. So it's doing the same thing again and again and again. Use dependence function read SQL query to assign to the variable df the frame results from the following query. Select all records. Data frame. Okay. So df equals wait. Inaantok. Read SQL query. Select all records from the employee table. Select asterisk from employee. Employee ID is greater than equal 6 and ordered by birthday. Then make sure that to use were and order by in this precise order. Select asterisk from employee where employee ID is greater than or equal to 6, order by birthday. Okay. I hope I'm getting
By
the
now, you've become familiar with querying individual tables of databases, such as the orders table of the Northwind database. You'll remember, however, that much of the power of relational databases stems from the fact that they can capture relations between tables. The tables are linked. For example, as we saw earlier, the orders table of the Northwind Traders database has both a column called Customer ID and one called Employee ID, columns which correspond precisely to the primary keys in the Customers and Employees tables, respectively. This means that, given an order, you can immediately look up the details of the relevant customer or employee in the appropriate table. Now, what if you want to incorporate such information into your query? For example, if you want to query the orders table and include for each order information about the corresponding customer from the customers table. A specific illustrative example will go a long way here. Let's say that we wanted for each order to get the order ID and the company name of the customer. The order ID lives in the orders table, while the company name lives in the customers table. SQL has a really clever way of doing this. It's called a join, because what you're really doing is joining two tables together. In this case, the orders table and the customers table. Specifically, it's an inner join. There are also other types of joins which we won't cover in this course. As it's the customer ID columns of the orders and customer tables that correspond to each, you'll want to join the tables on these columns, and that is precisely what I've done in this code. The notation of dot followed by column name is merely selecting
So it's just including inner join on the read SQL query.
a column of a table. The table that we are selecting from is orders inner join customers on orders.customerID equals customers.customerID. And I am selecting the order ID column and the company name column of this new table. I know that that's a bit to take in. But after you get your hands dirty performing some of your very own inner joins, you'll be far more comfortable with this advanced querying technique. It's your turn to query.
So the power of SQL lies in relationships between tables. So inner join. So here we'll perform our first inner join, and we'll be working with our favorite SQLite database, which is the China SQLite. For each record in the album table, we'll extract the title along the name and of the artist. The title along with the name of the artist. So the latter will come from the artist table, and so we will need to inner join these two tables on the artist ID column of both. So recall that to inner join the orders and customers tables from the Northwind database, Hugo executed the following SQL query. So this is the SQL query. Select order ID and company name from orders, inner join customers on orders that customer ID equals customers that customer ID. Okay, so the following code has already been executed to import the necessary packages and to create the engine. Import pandas as PD from SQL Alchemy, import create engine. Then engine equals create engine SQLite chinook.sqlite. So for the instructions, assign to RS the results from the following query. Select all the records extracting the title of the record and name of the artist of each record from the album table and the artist tables, respectively. To do so, inner join these two tables on the artist ID column of both. So open engine in context manager, perform query and save results to data frame df. So with engine connect as con using the Ayoko. Malapit na. Just 2 steps away. Then filtering our inner join. Congrats on performing on our first inner join. Now we're going to finish this chapter with one final exercise in which we are to perform an inner join and filter the result using a where clause. So recall that to inner join the orders and customers tables from the Northwind database, you go executed the following SQL query. So for the instructions, use the pandas function read SQL query to assign to the variable df the data frame of results from the following query. Select all records from. And I'm getting sleepy. That's why I'm having SQL query. pd dot read underscore SQL dot underscore query. Okay. Then select. We have to select all records. Select asterisk from playlist. playlist. Playlist track. Join track from. That satisfy the condition milliseconds is less than 250,000. Where I have to cry for you. I have to cry for you. Forever. Okay. I keep on forgetting. Engine. Yes. I keep on falling in love with you. I guess it's true.
Congratulations on doing so well in a crash course on relational databases. Whether you've seen them before or not, you're now able to create engines and connect to them in Python, perform simple select queries, filter your results using where, perform more complex queries such as join and store all your querying results in pandas data frames, among many other things. These skills will get you a long way in using Python to import data from relational databases. In fact, having made it through this course, you are now well equipped to import all types of files in Python, from plain text to flat files, Excel to MATLAB, among many others. Well done. But that does not mean there's not more to be learnt. What about importing data from the web, where so much of it is stored? In the sequel to this course, you'll learn how to import web data. It's a short course and will equip you to import data from the World Wide Web and pull data from application programming interfaces, also known as APIs. You'll take a deep dive into the Twitter streaming API, which allows us to stream real-time tweets. I'm sure that you're itching to get your hands dirty with web data. So I'll see you in the next course.
Favorite show. The favorite shows for a small group of subscribers recording a favorite table. The titles of the show were not entered. Consistently convert all the values in the title column to lowercase. Select. How do you place the lowercase? Lowercase title. I'm not sure. Lowercase. Okay. Then the wine table gives information about wine stock in an order in an online wine retailer. For wines with a rating of 4 or greater than. The wine table contains information about wines offered in the restaurant. Ah, okay. Wait, wait, wait. Type. Wine. Group by. Tapos, group by type. Group by type. Okay. Determine the total number of dance hits per artist by hour. Features. Features. SF. On trucks. On the ID ID. song ID. There's so, there's so many seconds, and yet I submitted it again. Then the names of artists. Return the rows from the artist table. National. Wait, ID is equals to T dot ID equals to F dot song ID and T dot equals dot order number product code price item. Cost level. Yung price item is case. Case yes. Then baliktad yata. percent. My followers. Ito yung masyadong. So, read. again. Hello, good evening. Good evening, Sherry. Thank you. I'm taking assessment test. Keep on forgetting. I have to go. I want to. Prior to retaking. Okay. So I have to retake assessment. Anyway, I'm already 88%. So I guess I'll end my stream here and say good night.